Welcome back, everybody. This is the thejonnymar, and I am continuing with Final Fantasy III for the PSP. In my last episode, we went back to Princess Sarah and found out that her pendant is actually broken. And so she asked us to find someone to fix it. Now, you do need to take it to Taka as a trigger for the next part of this quest, but Taka will mention, after he looks at the pendant, that he cannot fix it, unfortunately. He can do massive things like add things to our airship, but when it comes to something like a pendant, that is beyond his abilities. So we'll have to find someone else who can fix it. Thanks a lot, Taka. For nothing. So now we're going to head on with the quest. We're going to head back to Saronia. So now we're back in Ceronia after crash landing, as I did at the end of my last episode. And we're going to look at all of these different towns that are located in this massive city-state. So we'll start in the northwest corner of the town in northwestern Cironia. So if you talk to each of the individual people, they'll tell you a little bit about what's been going on in the area. You'll notice there's an inn in northwest Cironia. And then up here in the northeast corner of northwest Cironia, there's no one there. However, after we finish up with some business at the castle and get another letter, we actually will be able to find somebody, and that is the Master Smith. So the Master Smith is a special character that is important for a few things, mostly side quests, but also when you are maxing out your characters at a particular job level, and you get to level 99 for that job, you need to find the Master Smith in order to get the special item that you acquire for getting up to level 99 with that job. I'll talk more about her a little bit later in the game. Now, this area also has a library. It is currently closed, and you'll notice it also has a magic shop, and unfortunately that is closed as well. And that is mainly because the king has actually shut down all of the shops in this area, except one. There is one shop that is open, and we will be utilizing that shop in the very near future. So now we're going to head into Southwestern Cironia. Again, we'll talk to everybody. Basically, they're mentioning that the king has changed recently. He does not really do well with people criticizing him, to the point where he's actually killing people for doing that. And in this particular area, this house at the corner up here of the town, there's a researcher of chocobos. And he's going to show us that he can actually summon a fat chocobo. And so there it is. That is definitely a large chocobo. So you can access items if you want, without having to use a Geisel Green. But just in case you want to do this out in the wild, there's this hidden area that has access to a ton of Geisel Greens, so that if you're in a chocobo forest in a different part of the world, you can continue to access the large chocobo. So this is the main reason why I haven't been purchasing Geisel Greens to this point. I don't really use the fat chocobo, so that's the main reason, but also because obviously you get a ton of them here in this area. We get the nice little fat chocobo theme. Doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. So let's continue onward. The main reason we're in this particular town in southwest Cironia is to find somebody. So again, people are noting that the king has been acting weird, and what actually happened is that the king kicked his prince out of the castle. And this old man up here notes that there was someone that looked like the prince who entered the tavern, which is just to the north here. Yes, we will get to all of the different areas of Saronia in due time. I don't think there's anything down here. It's just an extra path. And then there's an exit up in the northeast corner that allows you to exit the town if you want. But let's head into the tavern and meet this person that supposedly looks like the prince. So we have 3 toughs, I guess, bullies, pretty ripped bullies, that are going to punish this person for impersonating the prince. Of course, Ark is going to step in because he has been bullied before, and he doesn't want to see anyone else get bullied. And they're going to attack us. So we get attacked by 3 golden knights. On the original version, the NES version, it was 4 of them. It's a little bit easier, I suppose. They are exactly the same as the ones that you may have encountered in Goldor's Manor. So they're going to go down pretty quickly. Just a couple of quick attacks, and they will be done. Nothing too much to worry about here. Once we finish them off, we will check on the prince. Or the imposter prince, maybe. I guess we'll find out. So they're gonna run off. They yield. Uncle, uncle. And then we're gonna check in on the prince. Now, interestingly, he has something on his head there, right? So in the original, it was a crown. And the sprite had like a little crown kind of off-center hanging on the side of his head. And in this version, it looks like a piece of cloth. I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing it wrong. Which I guess maybe is like an older style. Maybe that's a cultural thing in certain cultures in the world. I'm not sure. I'm not aware of it. But he is wearing something in his hair there. Again, a piece of cloth, a hair ornament of some kind. It certainly doesn't look like a crown. But he notes that he wants to get back into the castle in order to talk to his father, the king, and see if he can actually make him better. Have the king stop doing all this crazy stuff he's been doing recently. So he wants our party's help with that. And of course, being good guys, we're going to help him out. So the prince is going to join us. Prince Alus. So now we have the prince. There are a couple of extra people in this town that we want to make sure we talk to because they're going to give us some special items. That's nothing super awesome, although one of them is pretty good. But it's a clue towards what to consider in the future. So we do have a boss battle coming up in the very near future once we head into the castle. And these people are going to sort of hint at and also give us items associated with something we should be doing in preparation for that battle. So we get some dragon mail, and that can be equipped by dragoons. And there are some people in the towns around here that note that flying characters are actually weak to the elements, things like wind, and they're actually also weak to the dragoon class. Specifically the jump ability of the dragoon class. So we're going to get a wind spear here. And again, these are all hints that perhaps you should consider changing your characters over to the dragoon class. Now, we already have a dragoon in our party, and that is Ark. But we're actually going to change all of our characters except our white mage into dragoons. Because the next boss battle is pretty difficult. And dragoons are going to make it a little bit more manageable. So we're going to equip them with what we have. But we're going to be getting better equipment in the very near future here. Now we also want to equip them with feathered hats. Because again, what they do is boost agility. And you want your agility to be as high as possible in the next battle, especially with your dragoons, because essentially what's going to be happening is you're going to want to jump with them before the enemy has a chance to attack. And if you can get their agility up to around the high 20s, then you have a chance of that happening, so that they can avoid one of the really nasty attacks that the next boss is going to use. So we're limited. We don't have a lot of dragoon equipment right now. But that's going to change. There is a optional area in the southeast area of Ceronia that we're going to head to next. And that's going to give us a lot more dragoon equipment. And then that shop I mentioned that is still open, you can actually purchase spears. And specifically, we want wind spears. Now this person highlights that the King's Aid actually has a shadow that looks like a bird, which is interesting. And then it looks like Geruda. So that's something to note. Maybe that is kind of what's going on with the situation. Maybe something happened with the aid. Maybe that's what led to the sudden change in the king. we're going to head to the third of our 4 towns we're going to visit. Before we head to the southeast version, we're going to head to the northeast version of Saronia. So, a lot of people to talk to in northeast Cironia. Again, little bits of information. Nothing super useful. This is also the kind of hub area for most of the shops. Although, again, most of them are closed except one. Once they are open in the very near future, we're going to want to come back here and do a lot of shopping. But we have to finish off the boss of the next area in order to gain access to these shops. But this weapon shop right here is the one that is open. Now, they don't sell a ton. They only sell 2 items. The item that is important is the wind spear. So we're going to purchase 4 of those to go along with the one we acquired from the character in town. And then we're going to do a little bit of level grinding in between episodes. So between this episode and the next. And the purpose of that is going to be to get my characters up to level 30. And also to gain enough money in order to buy at least 1 more wind spear. So that all of my dragoons are double wielding wind spears. The last thing kind of note in this particular area of the town is that you can actually get an elixir that is hidden in the tree here, a little bit to the right of this character. So, there you go. Nice little hidden item. So Ceronia once had the greatest military in the world. However, the king seems to be causing them to fight each other to the death, seemingly to weaken them. So that's interesting, right? That the king would essentially weaken the country by forcing them to do that. Seems suspicious again. So the last town in Saronia is the Southeast Cironia Township. And there's not much going on in here, just a couple people to talk to. And then the main attraction in Southeast Cironia is the Dragon Tower. So this massive tower in the center part of the town can be climbed, and at the top of that tower is a bunch of treasure chests. And I'm betting you can guess what's in those chests, since I've already sort of alluded to it. So we're going to be climbing the Dragon Spire, as it's called. Or the Dragon Tower, as I call it. Now, in terms of Prince Alus, he does join our characters for this area, so he will be with us as a secondary character as we climb the Dragon Spire. And there was a chocobo over there to the right. But again, you can't really ride it anywhere. You can just ride it in Ceronia. And you don't get into battles on the map unless you go into the forest areas. So just avoid the forest areas if you don't want to fight enemies. But it's there if you want it. But we're going to climb the Dragon Spire, and Alus is with us. And he, in battle, will use either arrow or confuse, which is not very helpful. Most of the enemies are immune to confuse, and his arrow spell does not do a lot of damage. A couple 100 points. So the enemies in this area are not super tough. That jumping kind of creature will cast the break ability, which does quite a bit of damage. It does around 500 damage, give or take, on your characters, depending on level. And then the sorcerer type characters will cast magic on you, elemental spells. Again, most dangerous if they are single targeted. The most dangerous enemy is actually a flying bull creature in this area, which can petrify your characters. So you want to be careful with that. So we're already at the top, so let's grab the chests. And we're going to get a bunch of dragon equipment, again for the dragoon classes. Unfortunately, not wind spears. That would have saved us a lot of money. You only get thunder spears. But it's nice to have the equipment. We're not going to equip the dragon helms because, again, we want the agility boost. So the dragon helms are actually more powerful in terms of defense than the feathered hats. But we want that agility boost to try to outspeed the boss of the next area. Come on, encounter rate. Cripes. Just want to finish this up. So we're going to grab our items here. And then, as I mentioned, in between episodes, we're going to be level grinding up to about level 30. You certainly can take on the boss at a lower level. You can do it about at level 28 and have a chance, but your chances of all characters surviving are pretty low. So that's why we're going to go up to 30, and then next time I'll meet you outside the castle, and we'll take on the boss of the next area. So as always, viewers, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time. So long.